though it is a little bit of. All right, so welcome to our class. On D2L, I put some notes up there about this week. We don't have a lot going on this week. We might have, but yeah, it seems like we just got this tutorial to do, which we'll do today. It's kind of, there's a bit going on in the tutorial, but I hope that we can cover that without too much trouble. Now, there is a link up there about the assignment. Now, the thing is, the assignment, when that was put to other classes, I mean, because all classes have to do it the same. And there was a bit of pushback, you want to call it whatever you want. Anyway, so the assignment, we're dropping the assignment, basically. So I've said that it's optional. If you want to do it, of course, I'm not expecting too many people do want to do it. But if you want to do it, it's okay, but you can get full marks without doing it. So I'm saying that it's optional because I know that some people have said to me, what can I do to get some extra marks? Well, maybe you could do the assignment. I don't know. But if you did decide you wanted to do that, that's that doesn't have to be a sole person job. You could do it together with somebody. You can do it as a group. It says up to like 4 people. So if you want to try that, that's okay. There will be a quiz in the last lesson this week. So sometime between now and then, I'll get some information about the quiz and the test, I suppose, because next week is the test on the 18th. And so maybe we can do some revision. I'll try to see what we can do for revision. But the final exam will be everything in the course. So yeah, that's what there is today. Last lesson this week, we'll do the quiz, which will just be on the last couple of chapters. Right, so let's start into this. We have this tutorial, which is here, and it says it's a comprehensive tutorial. And so that means that we should look at all of the things that we've been able to do. So that includes, when I looked at it, I noticed that we've got some string functions in there. We have functions. I don't think you could do this assignment very well without, or this tutorial very well without using functions properly. There's ifs, else statements, while loops, string manipulation. Yeah, basically all of that in there in order to do this properly. So let's look at it and see what it is. The idea of this is we're to write a program, and this is the Word file that you can download from D2L. We're to write a program where a person is supposed to give their name. So it's supposed to be a student, and then they're supposed to say, well, these are the courses that I'm doing this semester. And so they'll say a number of courses, 2, 3, 4. And so you're going to end up with a counted loop. And then for each of those courses, for each course, it's going to ask the name of the course. And then the name of the course, we will check the name of the course to make sure that it meets a certain specification. The specification is given that the first 4 characters have to be letters of the alphabet, and the last 4 characters have to be numbers. And so that's string functions with the substring. So we have a look at that. We've done all of this. We've done. So there's nothing there that's new. And then when we've got that, and we know that we've got the right value, or sorry, the right course name. So we check to make sure the course name is right. Now, how I would do that is I would use a loop, and basically put in the course name. And if the course name's not good, then ask them to do it again, so that we would have a condition which tests to see if the course name is good. Then we ask them to put in a value between 0 and 100, which would be a float value. And that value, we would use this chart. You see this chart here. Based on these criteria, if the number's between 90 and 100, they get an A, and they get 4 points, etc. And so there's a lot of options there. That type of options is perfect for if, elif, and finally else. Now remember, when we do if, elif, else, we're going to have exactly one outcome. We'll have exactly one outcome because one thing will be true and the rest will be false. It's possible that everything is false, in which case we execute the else condition, the else choice. Now, that will happen for each course. And then at the end, we get a GPA, which here is simply calculated by calculating the average of all of the grades that they got from each of the courses. So that's just an average. So that's basically what you have to do. It looks like a lot, but that's what you have to do. So let's look at the sample. Please enter your name. They put their name and we reflect that name back to them. So that's pretty easy. That's going to be in the main program. We're going to ask them for their name. Then we're going to ask them for the number of courses that they do. And this is going to be a number that we'll use to count a loop. So it's going to be a counted loop. And then we check to see if that, so we get a course. If they say 4, then there's 4 courses we're going to do. You see their course 1, 2, 3, 4. For each one, we ask them the course number, and they'll give us the course number. And if the course number is a bad course number, then we give them an error statement. They give us a number, which we then process that number according to this chart. And from that, we come up with a GPA grade, a grade and a number of stars. All right, so do you think you understand the problem? It's okay. Fatma's saying yes. Amir, it's Amir, right? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So that's good. I think we understand the problem. Let's have a look at another sample example. Here we've got some errors. So here they put in a course code and the course code wasn't long enough. Oh, thank you, sir. How are you, big boss?
Fine. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Look at that. We got tea and all kinds of stuff. We're eating. Sorry? Yeah. Okay. So I'm eating samosas and I got some nice tea here. That's why my voice might not be great for a while. Thank you, Abdulaziz.
Many foods.
You're a gentleman.
I'm waiting very.
I appreciate it. Okay, so the name here is too short, and so we come up with an error. So we have to have that error built into the program. You can see all the numbers calculate and what else? Yeah. If they put if they put a number that was not between 0 and 100, you would get an error for that as well. So there's a few little errors that we have to have. Hi, Hind. Hi, Roa. So we got a few more people coming. So let's have a look at how we would do that. So I actually went and wrote the program because it would, to be honest, to write this program in front of you, it would take more than a half hour. And we only got a half hour on Zoom, right? So I actually wrote it ahead of time, but let me try and explain to you as how it goes. What I found is we wanted to put the number of stars, right? So you see here the number of stars. If it's a B, the number of stars is 3. The reason why it's 3 is because their GPA for a B is going to be 3 point something or other, right? If you go back and look at the description there, yeah, B is either going to be a 3 or a 3.5, depending on whether it's a B or a B plus. And so if the number's a 3, we're going to print 3 stars. And if the number's a 4, we're going to print 4 stars. And if the number's okay, but also 2.5, we don't print 2.5 stars, we print 2 stars. So how do we do that? Well, this is what I thought we would do, right? Now, sorry, we got that in the way there. So this is what I thought we'd do. Okay, so we have a function and it takes as a parameter a number. Here I've just called the number X. And then we run a loop and the loop starts from 0 and the loop goes as long as, now look, I take that number, which I know is going to be a float because it's going to be like 3.5, your GPA. This X is your GPA number, 3.5. It's going to take that number and it's going to convert it to an integer. When it converts it to an integer, the 0.5 thing is lost. So you see what we're going to do? We're going to say, okay, you got a grade of 3. So we will print 3 stars. How are we going to print 3 stars? We're just going to do it in a loop. We're just going to print a star and then we're going to add to our counter. So the ST is a counter. We're going to keep adding to the counter until we get the number that we brought in. So this will print the number of stars according to the grade point. Does that make sense? So we'll get the grade point based on, and we'll get the number of stars according to the grade point. So that's the first thing that we did. The next bit of code that I would do, and as I said, I really don't have enough time to write all of this for you. It would take some time, but I want to explain it so that you can do it. The next thing I would do is say, okay, so we know that course number has to meet certain requirements. And what the course number has to do is it has to be 8 characters long. The first 4 characters has to be alphabet. The last 4 characters has to be number. And so that's what we've done here. We say, okay, so read in the course number. The user will read in the course number. Now the N is because this is going to happen in a loop, because there's going to be, how many courses have you got? 5, right? So N will be, start with 0 and it'll go to 1, 2, 3, 4, right? N is what course number we're at. And then we're going to say, all right, well, that course number that you're talking about, that has to be 8 characters long. Has to be 8 characters long. So len must be 8. So you see this is called a substring. So CNUM is a string. So we read that in as a string. Here's a substring. And what it means is you see the colon and then the 4. What the colon and the 4 means is from the start of the string until before the 4th character, that will be our new string. So the new string is just going to be the first 4 characters. And what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that they're alphabet, A, B, C, D through to Z. So the first 4 characters has to be something between A and Z. And then the last 4, or sorry, yes, starting from the 4th character to the end of the string. So that's what this means. Means start at the 4th character. The thing before the colon is where you start. This one doesn't have anything there, which means just start at the start. And the thing after is the position one after as far as we're going to go. So we're going to start at the 4th position. We're going to go to the end of the string, and it must be numbers. So what this says is it must be 8 characters long. What I'm describing is this thing that I'm highlighting now. It must be 8 characters long, and the first 4 characters must be alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G kind of thing, and the last 4 characters must be numbers. Now, if they're not, you get an error, and then you have to enter it again. So this is kind of what I would call an error trapping. It will keep asking them to put in the value until they get one that's right. So we do that a lot. And then we got a return value. I hope you remember how functions work. Here we're declaring the function. We have something coming in, which is just the counter, which is, because we count five courses or something like that. You'll see that in a loop in a minute. And then we return out the good course number. So this is where we sort out the course number. Now, the next function I've got there is this one is going to take, we're going to take that course number, and I'm just going to call it C here. We're going to take their grade, which is going to be some number between 0 and 100. And we're going to output somehow their grade and their grade point. So the grade point, we're going to set their grade to an empty string, and we're going to set the grade point to 0 just to initialize them. And then what we're going to do is if they put a number which is less than 0 or the number is bigger than 100, then we're going to say, hey, that's an error. You have to have a number between 0 and 100. We won't let them put a number that's bigger than 100 or less than 0. So the number must be between 0 and 100. So that's what that while loop does. That's another error trapping loop. So just make sure that they put in a number that's between 0 and 100. Then we've got this big if thing going on, right? And basically it's this table which has been translated into Python code. And we just say, all right, well, if you got a grade that's more than 90, then that's an A and your GP is 4. But if you didn't get that, that's what elif means. If this is false, then we go to this. Okay, well, then if your grade is more than 85, then you got a B plus and your GP is 3.5. Now, if those two things aren't true, then we'll try this one. And what's there? Well, okay, well, maybe your grade is more than 80. Well, in that case, you got a B. Well, if none of those things is true, then we'll try this. Is your grade more than 75? Then you got a C plus. Well, if none of those are true, then is your grade. You get the idea, right? I'm sorry, it's really repetitive. You can see why I'm not doing this in front of you. It's not really that hard. It's just a lot of typing, right? And so, yeah. Now, when you do this, be very careful. I saw one student do this today and they put a comma in here instead of the period. You will get an error. Any little spelling mistakes will get an error. And that was kind of a hard one to find. It was like, you know, it was looking for a tuple or whatever. And then what happens when you get to the bottom of here, you're going to have LG is going to be one of these numbers, one of these letters, A through F. And GP is going to be a number from 0 to 4. And then here we can print that out. And then the thing is, look, we take the number, which is this number from 0 to 4. It could be 3.5. And we go and run our function stars, which is going to print the number of stars according to the number. I showed you that. I showed you that function, right? There we're going to print the number of stars according to the number. All right, then we've got one more function to talk about. And this is the function which calculates the average. GPA is the average of your grade points. And so, you know, averages always work the same way. Count and total. Set the count and the total to 0. Done that there. Get the number. And then in a counted loop, we add the number to a total. At the end, we calculate the average as the total divided by the count. Averages always work that way. You should have memorized that by now. We always do averages like that. So there's our average, and we return that. Now, then the main program is very short. You see the main program. We ask them for their name. We print out their name. We get their, we do this program here that gets the average by calling these other values. And that's it. So do you want to see it run? Let's try it. Let's run this. I'm eating while I'm waiting for it to run. So let's say we did 4 courses. Now let's say I put an error in. This is not a good course number. It should come up with the error. This is the error. So it asked me to do it again. So I'll do it again. So that's a good course. And so now it asks me for the overall grade. Well, let's say I got a nice grade. Oh, okay, I got an error. I wasn't expecting that. So we're going to sort this error out. Line 54, total plus equal letter grade, CNUM and O grade. Let's see. I thought I'd fix this. Total plus equal letter grade, CNUM and O grade. Well, there's O grade. Okay, letter grade. Did I change anything in there? C and G. Did you guys see me change anything in this? Because this program was working before. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this while I try and figure it out. So yeah, I guess I should just review that again. The program starts here. We just get the name. Then it calls this function, and this function basically does everything else, right? Because it calls the other functions. So within it, it gets the course number by calling this other function, which will make sure that there's no errors. Because if there is an error in the course function, how it will know there's an error? Because one of these conditions is not true. If any one of these conditions, and see that they're all bound together by ands, if any one of those is not true, then we go and do an error and we ask them to put it in again. So at the end, we get a good course number. And then we ask them for a grade. And then we call another function. And that function, we pass the grade and the course number to it. It prints out the course number. And it also checks the grade using this big, long bunch of if-elifs. And it's going to give you a grade and a GP. And then the GP is going to be passed out to, well, yes, so yes, it's going to be passed out and added to the total. And then we get an average by dividing the total by the count. And then that is passed out to this value, which is printed as the average. All right. I mean, I went through that like 2-3 times. You can watch the video. I'm hoping that will help. Let's run it one more time. So you can sort of see, oh, why did I do that? Just do the simple one, take the first one at the start. Should have just done F5. So if you just have, so maybe we're doing 3 courses. And got a number, and that's an A. And we got another number, and that's a B plus. And we got another number. And that's that'll be a C, I guess, D plus. And then we get our GPA. Easy peasy?
Yes.
Halas and Zain. All right, so I'm going to stop recording. If you have any questions, please ask now. I see these people there. Aziz, that'll be Aziz. Abdulaziz or Aziz? Oh, well, there's a number, right? 337. So I'll mark these folks present. And I'm going to stop recording. Okay, thanks, folks.